Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lizziefaye Loves Books.
Hi.
Surprise, everyone. I have two surprise guests today that have never been on my channel before, and I'm so excited to introduce Kevvie from Say Kevvie and someone who has the ultimate name for March Mystery Madness, Marilyn Maya Mendoza.
Hi.
How could we leave Marilyn out for March Mystery Madness? Because she has the perfect name. So I see that several of you guys are here in the chat, and I'm so excited that you're here. We went a couple of hours later today because Marilyn is in Hawaii. So it is very early there for her. And Kevvie needed to work this morning, and so he is home from work now and ready to chat. So I asked these two especially to come on together because they have been buddy reading an Agatha Christie book, and um, both of them have not been on BookTube for longer than Marilyn's been on a little longer than a year. Kevin's been on. Have you been here like a little over a year as well? I think so. I want to let them talk in just a second, but so Kevvie, you got on BookTube what maybe like last February or March or,
Yeah,
but and you didn't know about March Mystery Madness last year, right?
Nope.
So out of the blue, a few months ago, Kevvie started commenting to my videos, and I'm like, "Who is this drag queen in my comments? Oh my goodness, hey!" And so we, as you guys know, we differ a lot in our style of videos and all of that, but you will be hard pressed to find anyone on BookTube who loves mysteries more and who is more enthusiastic about Agatha Christie than Kevvie. So Marilyn and Kevvie have been buddy reading an Agatha Christie book this month. And since Agatha Christie was one of the very first prompts we ever had for March Mystery Madness, and I am not well read in Agatha Christie, I thought it'd be fun to have both of them on here to talk mostly about Agatha Christie for this last terrific Tuesday of March Mystery Madness. So Marilyn, since I talked about Kevvie already, we'll talk about you, Marilyn. Marilyn is the baby boomer booktuber. Her first video was on her 70th birthday, and she is so, I mean, both of these people are so colorful and fun. Both love Agatha Christie. Both have been known to wear a feather boa in a video, and this is just going to be so much fun. So Marilyn,
Yes.
tell us a little bit about yourself and whatever you want to say.
Well, like you said, I started my channel on my 70th birthday. I like to do something really spectacular every decade of my life. And I found BookTube and I said, what is a more perfect thing for me to try than this venue? Because I've always loved reading and I've never had anyone to talk to about books. So, yeah, people thought I was a little weird.
It's harder to find people in real life to talk about books with, unless you're in a book
Yeah.
club or something. And even book club people, like I differ a lot from my book club friends. They don't listen to audiobooks. They don't like track their reading.
Yeah.
Some of the people I'm in book club with, all they read every month is just the books for book club. And that's
Oh,
it. And I'm like, what?
I know, I know.
So have you always lived in Hawaii or
No, I was born in Brooklyn, New York,
okay.
and traveled all over the world. I used to, like Kevvie, what she said, I used to be on stage. I used to sing. I used to dance.
And she
And
still does in her videos. Y'all need to check them out.
I'm not as good as I used to.
Well, none of us are.
But yeah, but I'm serious too. I'm an introvert. Like I said in my last video, with a little bit of extrovert. So yeah, like all readers are. But I also write. I write books, and I think Kevvie told me she writes books too. Yeah,
Who
she
does?
writes. So a lot of readers, a lot of people on BookTube are also writers. So I found a lot of people that way also. So yeah, and I love fun. I love reading, and I love watching BookTube.
Awesome. All right, so Kevvie lives in Central Time Zone, so you are not super far from me. I'm going to be driving to Central Time Zone. Hopefully, I'm leaving sometime this evening, maybe tomorrow. I'm going to Texas for a family reunion.
Oh,
So I don't know. What would you like to tell us about yourself?
Yeah. So hi, I'm Kevvie. I am. Let's see. I'm a whole bunch of things. I'm the plus size disabled transgender drag queen and model and booktuber of all the things.
All the
Um,
things.
yeah, I am primarily a mystery reader. I read all sorts of stuff, but home base for me, my comfort zone is in mysteries. And that really started with Agatha Christie. And after I read like a dozen of her books, I was like, I need to talk to somebody about these, and wound up finding Booktube. So I made my first Agatha Christie video, and then I've been here ever since. Yeah.
So, did you read Agatha Christie when you were younger, or did you just discover her like in more recent years?
No, I had watched many of her adaptations like when I was younger, but I didn't bother to actually pick up one of her books until like late 2019.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Now, see, I went to school. Of course, I'm a lot older than you, but I went to school with a girl who, in junior high, she had a copy of. It was called Ten Little Indians back then, but it's now. And then there were none. She had a copy of that, and she must have reread that. I don't know how many times, just when we were in junior high. So I know that it is, it's possible for people to find Agatha Christie as as a kid. Um, I never got started reading it. She would always say that was her favorite book, but I didn't personally read it till years later. Um, but I read Nancy Drew and stuff like that when I was, younger and stuff like that. But I really kind of wanted to talk about Agatha Christie with you guys because I feel like as a host and co-creator of March Mystery Madness, I am not well read enough. And I have read, and then there were none, and a few Poirot, so hard to say. Probably my favorite would be the Orient Express because I've read that a couple times and I'm familiar with it. And my favorite Miss Marple is probably 450 from Paddington. I don't know if you guys have read that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but and then there were none. I think is just mind blowing. I just
I have
think
it
it's
right here.
amazing. Oh yay, yeah, there you go. I've got
And
that
this
edition.
was the vintage cover. The cover came off,
Uh,
but they kind of cleaned up a lot of the covers, but this one is kind of spooky.
Oh yeah, got a noose on there.
yeah, I have had that cover before, and I don't know if I still have it or not. I have a newer
Yeah.
edition too because I find books at book sales and stuff, and I pick them all up. But anyway, let's say hello to people in the chat. I don't mean to ignore you guys. Hello, Amber, from her creative corner of creation. We've got Monique, the ginger librarian, and Julie and Marshall. Hi, everybody. And of course, we've got Kevvie here, so we're saying hi. Who else is here? Lisa Justice. Hello, hello. And Robin Loves Reading. Hello there. So I didn't put up your comments, but I see all your comments in the chat. Thanks for being here, everybody. So I'm interested to know about what Agatha Christie book did you guys buddy read, and have you finished it yet? Have you already chatted about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it?
Yeah. So here's the thing. The book we buddy read isn't actually Agatha Christie.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
not. I thought it was. Okay.
It's the American Agatha Christie.
Yeah.
Oh.
The
Mary
Wall.
Robert Reinhardt.
Oh, okay. My bad. I'm so sorry. All right. Well,
And
tell us about it.
yeah,
Kevvie
so-
is the one who got me started with Mary Roberts Reinhardt, and I loved this book. She
Great.
really is the American Agatha Christie. But I'll let Kevvie talk about it because she's the one who's an expert on it. On her.
yeah, I found Mary Roberts Reinhardt when like after I'd read a few Christies, and I'm like, I need to read more mysteries. And in some ways, I like Reinhardt even more than Christie.
Okay.
Like I think she's really good at developing characters and creating incredible settings that feel like very much alive in the story you're reading. And I like the way her stories always build. Whereas with a lot of Christie's, it's like, okay, we meet the characters, then there's a death, and now we solve it. It's pretty stagnant though.
Mhm.
With Mary
Kind of
Roberts,
formulaic a little bit.
yeah, Reinhardt
Except,
starts small.
except for Endless Night that I just read. Scared the heck out of me.
I'm not
was-
familiar with that. So is Mary Roberts Reinhardt, is she a contemporary author, or did she write during the same era as Agatha Christie?
She actually started writing before Christie did.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
her first book came out in 1908 called The Circular Staircase.
Oh,
And
okay.
she wrote until 1953.
Okay. Nice.
I read The Circular Staircase. I liked it, but The Wall, that was the one I read with Kevvie. That was
What's the name of the
amazing.
one y'all buddy read?
The Wall.
The Wall. Okay.
Yes.
And what would you rate it?
I rated it 5 stars.
Okay.
I really loved it. It was amazing, especially with the American things that were going on around that time. So it was completely different than Agatha Christie, because you have in Agatha Christie, you have the English setting and the country houses, and everything is so English. And here it's all American, and it's a little more relatable if you're American. So yeah.
Where is it set? What state?
Where is it set, Kevvie? I'm
Um,
not sure.
Some Pennsylvania, maybe?
Maybe on the East Coast. Yeah, somewhere on the East Coast, which also I can relate to because I was born in New York. So yeah, a lot of stuff. I was really surprised. I said, "Oh, I can relate to that."
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's helpful. I enjoy reading things that are set outside of the country, but it is harder to relate to it. It's fun to learn about it, but if you if you've never been there, it's definitely harder to relate. So, give me 1 second. I had invited one more person, and then I realized I don't think they're going to be able to come, but I realized I forgot to send them the link. So let me just do that really quick. Oh, well, let me ask you guys some questions, and y'all can be talking while I'm doing that. So tell me, while we're talking about Agatha Christie, what was the first Agatha Christie that you ever read? Do you remember, both of you?
Well, I'm 71, so I have to say I'm rereading Agatha Christie more or less. There are books that I haven't read, but I can't remember the first Agatha Christie. I just started in my 20s, and I collected them, but I left for Hawaii, so I had to leave my collection behind. And then when I joined Booktube, I started recollecting, and some of them I remember, but some of them it's like reading a new book. So I'm thinking I read one of the big ones. I wouldn't start with Then There Were None, because you would get the wrong impression of Agatha Christie. I might have started with one of her smaller books, maybe Dumb Witness, which is it has a dog in it, which I really loved, and the dog has a part in it, a fox terrier, and I used to love dogs. So yeah, maybe I started or Murder on the Orient Express, because that's had so many adaptations. But
Right.
I can't remember the first one I read, because I started so young.
Fair enough. What about you, Kevvie?
So the very first one I read is kind of an odd one. I started with The Pale Horse, because they had just made an adaptation of it on Amazon. And I was like, how about for once I try reading the book first? Since I've, like, most of the time seen the adaptation first. And I really loved it. And it really, it did a great job at training me to read Christie going forward, because as I was reading the Pale Horse, there was one paragraph where I'm like, this part seems boring and irrelevant. I'm going to skip it. And then we get to the end, and that one paragraph I skipped over was like the clue that put the whole thing together. So I learned
that's funny. Yep. You can't. She fools you every time.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing about Agatha Christie.
Well, and okay, so since you brought that up, that is one issue that I have kind of felt like in a couple of the ones I've read, I feel like that part of the fun of mysteries is trying to figure out who it is. And I feel like sometimes her situation is so convoluted that there's no possible way anyone could ever try to figure it out. So that takes the fun out of it in a way. I mean, it's fun if you think, oh, okay, I know who it is, and then you're fooled. But then I'm trying to think which one it was. Maybe the Caribbean mystery, or I forget something. But then I thought,
That's
how
one
is
of my
anybody
favorites.
ever supposed to come up with that?
Right. Yeah.
You know,
I
that's
don't
funny
know.
you should mention that because I'm reading Endless Night with Brian at Bookish, and he's like me. We don't try to find out who, that's not the pleasure for us in reading a
Okay.
mystery. It's
Okay.
it's letting it just flow out, and you know that she's going to have a surprise.
Yeah.
And yeah, so for me, I just finished Endless Night, and I was like, whoa, and yeah, I kind of look for clues, and one thing, she's fair. She'll always have a place in the book where she leaves a clue if you really want to figure it out. If
Okay.
so yeah, so she's not unfair in that, she has red herrings, but there will always be a clue to
Okay.
figure
Okay.
it out if you
I
want to do that.
I
But
feel
me
like
and Brian, we just go for the ride.
Sorry, I am still trying to message this person, and I'm having a hard time getting the link onto my. I'm having a hard time doing it on my phone because I'm not very good at this thing.
oh,
So, all right. So what about
yeah.
you? Did you say what your first one was, Kevvie? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You
my
did.
first one was Pale Horse.
Pale Horse. Okay, so
But,
tell me about Pale Horse because I have not ever read that one.
Okay, the first for this question we were on.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think one time I have felt like Christie wasn't fair, and that was in The Murder of Roger Ackroyd.
Oh,
Okay, I have read that, and that's probably where I got that idea
Yeah,
from too. Yeah.
that one was
Yeah.
very tricky and was before like fair play became the norm, the
Okay.
expectation. But yeah, I think most of the time her stuff is solvable, and I have solved at least a dozen of them.
wow.
Okay. Okay. While you were
Good
reading
for
them?
you.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and
I think I solved one.
which one?
I don't remember. It wasn't this. I think it might have been Endless Night. The one I just read. I kind of suspected the person all the way, and but it's still. I mean, when she does her surprise, then there's an extra and an extra, and I said, "Whoa!"
Yeah,
But I solved the main person. But yeah, but the whole story was then it started getting whoa. And also Endless Night. And I was just talking to another booktuber, Lil, Lil at Lil's Vintage World. And she said Endless Night was too dark for her, But yeah, so everyone has a favorite, Agatha Christie for different reasons. She loves Caribbean mystery and Five Little Pigs, and she turned me on to reading some of the books that I hadn't read before. So yeah. So one thing I like about Agatha Christie is that they're different. They're not all the same.
Mhm.
And she wrote a long period of time. So in this book, in Endless Night, she's it's during the 60s, during my time. And she's kind of talking as an older person about the young people in the 60s. And it's kind of funny, because
Yeah.
I lived through the 60s. And yeah, so it's very interesting. And you learn a lot about Agatha Christie through her writing. And that's
Well,
one of
that's a
Yeah,
good
that's one of
segue.
the things I like, is trying to figure out not the mystery, but more about Agatha Christie, because she was such a, after the Bible, she's the most read person in the
Really,
whole world.
really.
So, yeah,
So now, one thing you mentioned there about learning about her, um, people who have read all of them, and I always think it's such an ambitious project. Some people have this goal to read all of her books in publication order, and I've seen people do videos about that. But people who have read them all talk about how there are books where things come out that they sense about her, like racism and things like that.
yes.
Have you guys encountered that? And if you, if there's something about an author that you have a hard time dealing with them personally, does that tend to want to keep you from reading their books, or do you keep that separate?
In one of my videos, I talked about, there was an African American who wrote an article, and she loves Agatha Christie, but she went, "Whoa, what is she talking about?" And she says once she knew better, she changed, and
Okay.
that's kind of what happened during Agatha Christie. Yes, that was her life. She was like that, and then she learned more, and she became better.
Okay.
So if an African American could feel that way, then yeah, some of the stuff is really racist. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
No,
And I mean, that's hopefully true of all of us, of that we grow and change and mature and improve as we live our
hopefully.
lives. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess what you're saying is her earlier books are where that comes out more than in her later stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So do either of you have a goal to read all Agatha Christie's?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not bothering with publication order though,
Yeah.
just
Me
getting
then.
them all read.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
um Several books have been written about this mysterious 11 days that she disappeared. And I know you talked about one, Kevvie, recently. There's one by Marie Benedict that I would, if I'm going to read one, I'll probably read that one just because I've enjoyed Marie Benedict's writing. But um, I haven't read any of those, so don't maybe
Don't
spoil
spoil
it.
it.
But do you guys have a theory of what happened and why? Do you think any of the authors who have written about it are more spot on than others? What's your thoughts
What
on
do
it?
you think, Kevvie?
Well, I think the most likely answer is that she just needed a getaway and went to that place to just get away from things for a bit. But I will say, I my favorite interpretation of those days of her disappearance is in The Christie Affair by Nina de Gramont, which it's very much like there's no way that is actually what happened. It's very much like a fantasy, but it's so sweet and just, oh, it's delightful. I love it. Oh, and I'll pull up a picture of that one.
Oh, okay. And is that the most recent one you read, or was it?
Yeah.
Okay, because I think I saw the video where you were talking about it. A few more people have come in the chat. Felicia from Little Prairie Library is here. Hey, Felicia. How you doing? She says her first Agatha Christie was And Then There Were None. I think that was probably mine as well. Or it might have been 450 from Paddington. Let's see. I should put a few comments up. Let's see. Julianne, you live in England, is that correct? So she's been reading Christie since she was a teenager in the 80s. And oh, hey, Tiffany is here. So, oh, I'm sorry you fell into a funk in February. Climbing back up, Robin says. Have you been reading some mysteries, Robin? Lisa says she's only read one Agatha Christie. Or you read more cozy or detective type. Well, I mean, Poirot is definitely a detective, and Christie is definitely a cozy, I would think. So both of those will fit. Yeah. Let's see. I'm just going through. I don't want to probably won't put everything. So Robin says she started reading Agatha Christie as a child, and you've read most of the books. Wow, good for you.
Wow.
So Amber says she has a confession. I'm going to guess, Amber, that you haven't read any. Is that going to be your confession? Two, actually. You have two confessions. All right. Felicia says her first Agatha Christie, yes, was, and then there were none. I read Breaking Point by Mary Roberts Reinhardt this month for Janelle's readathon. Turned out not to be a whodunit. Okay.
Yeah, I heard about that
Yeah,
from Janelle.
that one turned out to be a real disappointment. It was like the first Reinhardt book that I haven't given 5 stars to.
Okay.
Like, I love her work so much. That one just was not it.
Oh,
Was it a crime novel, just not whodunit?
No, it was just it was a gothic romance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because so with Reinhardt, after her first really successful mysteries, her husband started trash talking her and telling her that mysteries are stupid and you should write better stuff. And
In real life.
yeah, so she stopped writing mysteries for about 10-15 years.
Oh my
And
goodness.
until her husband died, and then she could write whatever she wanted to again.
That's crazy.
that's the way it was in those days.
Well, you know, speaking of men telling you what to do, I've been binging a series. This is a middle grade series, but it's so intelligent, and I read all 6 of them in the last 3 days. They're so short and cute. I mean, I listened to them on audio. But this is set in like, what is it, like the Victorian era, the same time as Sherlock Holmes, because this is Sherlock Holmes' sister. And the comments that are made about women and the men just had complete ownership of them, and which is why Enola, when her mother disappears, she runs away because her big brother, who owns everything, is going to send her to boarding school and make her be, a proper lady. And it's just so good. It's a fantastic series. I loved
What's the name of it?
Loved it. It's Enola Holmes. It's by Nancy Springer. It's a middle grade series, but it reads, to me, if no one told me it was middle grade, I would not know. She's a 14-year-old, and that is typically why, because it's very rare to see a series with a young protagonist that's an adult series. I think the only exception is probably the Flavia de Luce, which are adult mysteries, but with a kid for a main character. But hold on one second, I'm on live. Oh, hang on. Oh, my daughter is coming in. She's like, "You haven't seen the movie?" No, I haven't seen it. I've just read all the books though this weekend. But yeah, I know that there is an adaptation. It's on Netflix because it says right here it's on Netflix. Anyway, this series is fantastic. I suggested it to my book club, my mystery book club that I lead at the library, and this is the response I got. It's a kid's book.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I don't care. I still think we ought to read it. And because I read middle grade books anyway. Well, they didn't want to do it. They outvoted it. But I think they are missing out. If you're not willing to read a kid's book just for the sake of it, that it's a kid's book, you're missing out, because it's a fantastic series. And there's so many discussion points that we could talk about from that era and that mindset of that time, and also how it compares with Sherlock Holmes and how Sherlock Holmes is portrayed in the book, as opposed to, they have another brother is in. Now, I'm not well read in Sherlock Holmes. Have either of y'all read Sherlock Holmes?
A little bit.
So does he have a brother that is portrayed? Minecraft? Okay. Yeah. Is it Mycroft? How do you say it?
Yeah,
I just want to say Minecraft. If you can hear panting, it's because the dogs just came in. So they're, of course, here. And so yeah, he's in there, and he's the one who's very traditional. Sherlock is portrayed a little better, although he's kind of in the middle because he's still got that male mindset of the time, but he comes around to a better extent than, and he finally starts to see Enola for the value that she has. So have either of y'all read it? Have you read any of these, Kevvie?
I haven't read them, but I watched the Netflix
Okay.
adaptation
Okay.
with Millie Bobby Brown, and oh my gosh, it's so good.
I need to watch it now that I've read all the books. Definitely want to watch because I loved the books. Just loved them. All right, so let me go back. I had put up Julianne's comment, and then so we're seeing first book was Murder on the Orient Express, and I think that's probably true of a lot of people because of the adaptation being more popular, or maybe just because it's a good book and it's one that comes up. If you look up Agatha Christie, that's one that's going to it's going to rise to the top of the list. Here's Amber's confession. I've never read an Agatha Christie. Amber, I had not read one either until a few years ago. Probably trying to think. Well, okay. So I mentioned for our very first year of March Mystery Madness, which was 2016, Troy said, why don't we make that a prompt that you have to either read an Agatha Christie or an Edgar Allan Poe short story, because those two are kind of considered the matriarch and patriarch of mysteries. And so that was the prompt. That was one of the prompts, was to either read a short story by Edgar Allan Poe, and we had some specific ones you could choose from, or any Agatha Christie. But I think I had read at least a few Agatha Christie before then. But anyway, that's neither here
Going
nor there.
back to what you said about the missing days, there was a movie called Agatha, and with Dustin Hoffman, that was based on a screenplay, and then they made it into a book. I don't know what came first, but the screenwriters wrote a book after, I think, the movie. I saw the movie, I read the book, and that was a pretty ingenuous adaptation of The Missing Days. If you want to read that, I don't think it could have happened, but maybe, and it was exciting. It was a mystery, so I like that one for the Missing Days. But I haven't really I'm not going to mention any of the ones I've read, but I haven't liked any of the newer, going into what could have happened during the days. I think that it has a lot to do with the author and what they want to believe what happened during the days. My feeling is that she had her mother had died. Her husband told her he wanted a divorce, and she just maybe went into a complete breakdown, which I can understand. Because when one of my children was born, I had postpartum depression, and my husband and I broke up. So I know that can can be a very difficult time in a woman's life.
Sure.
When so I don't know if she didn't have a baby, but her mother died, but she was very close to her mother. So she went away, and she maybe she wanted to commit suicide, and then she decided no. So I don't know what happened, but yeah.
Or maybe she just needed a vacation. I mean, I'm getting ready to leave. I'm just taking one of my daughters with me because the other one has to work and my husband has to work. So we're going to go to a family reunion. We're going to be gone for at least 11 days. Of course, I'm not making it a secret where I'm going, but still, in the big scheme of things, 11 days is really not that long.
But she, when she went to the spa, she registered as her husband's mistress. Now that was an Agatha Christie thing.
At that point when that happened, how many books had she written? Like, where was she in her career?
It was very early. It was 1926, and The Murder of Roger Ackroyd had just come out.
Okay.
Yeah, she was in the middle of writing The Mystery of the Blue Train.
Blue Train, which everyone says is one of her least, written book. And I think she blames it on what was going on around that time. She hated
maybe her head wasn't all in it. She had a lot going on. Yeah, well, that's understandable. All right, let me catch up with it. Me either. I'll catch up with a few more comments. Monique says, I started reading Murder on the Arctic Express years ago, but wasn't able to finish it for reasons not having to do with the book. I really need to read some Christie books. And Tiffany says, wow, Kevvie, I never solve them. I read a ton of cozies and never figure it out. LOL. All right, so let's see what Amber's second confession is. You haven't read anything this month, Amber. That's all right. Well, we'll give you grace. Lisa says, so many cozies to get to, especially like cozy set in libraries or bookstores. Yes, I do too. Tiffany says, I love library, culinary, bakery, farm, and B&Bs. Okay, I love them all. Since I started my channel, my TBR feels like it's Mount Everest. I know. And climbing it. So she's just talking to Lisa about library lovers. You haven't found this series. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just clicking them all. Julie says, I've read all the Agatha Christie's. My favorite detective of hers is Miss Marple.
Yes.
So I was a little disappointed in 450 from Paddington. I think was my first Miss Marple. And I didn't even realize at the time that this was years ago. And I didn't know that there was different series. I just thought I need to read some Agatha Christie's. And I found whatever I could find on audio. And that was one of them. And Miss Marple seemed like more of a side character.
Yeah.
And I wondered, I mean, did she not set out to make her like a main character? Is she just kind of, I mean, what's y'all's take on that?
Miss Marple is like one of the most popular Christie characters, but she is always like a very brief appearance in the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's typical.
Yeah, that's typical. So a lot of people who like Marple through reputation or from adaptations wind up disappointed when they come and read the books because she's like, she just shows up toward the end and is like, oh, well, what about this and that?
Except for Caribbean Mystery.
She is, as I recall, she plays a bigger role in that one.
Yeah, that's very unusual in this book because not only does she play a bigger role, but she's more active. She's not just in her country setting, but she's in the West Indies, probably taken from Trinidad and Tobago, because they go over to that island in the book, and she can't rely on her little country village gossip. She has to be active, and I found this to be fascinating in this book. Yeah. It's one of Lil's favorites, and it's become one of mine. So I really enjoyed this.
Have you read that one yet, Kevvie?
Oh, yes. I agree. It is definitely one of the best Miss Marples. My favorite Miss Marple, though, is got to be The Mirror Cracked.
Okay.
That one is so good. And it's one of the few Christie's where it's like a direct follow-up to a previous one. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's like a sequel, sort of.
Right. Yeah. The Mirror Cracked has to come after Body in the Library because it takes place in the same location with a lot of the same characters.
Are there any others that you think should be read in any certain order? Like with Poirot, I've been just I'll just read whatever, but I didn't know. So are there any others in particular that should be read one after the other?
Yeah, the only other ones I would say is A Caribbean Mystery Must Come Before Nemesis.
Okay. Yeah.
Because like the big guy, like Christie's best friend or whatever, assistant person in Caribbean Mystery begins the mystery in the next book in Nemesis.
Okay.
But and also everyone else says that you have to save Curtain for the very last Poirot you read. I didn't do that though.
I didn't do that either. But it's also has a book you're supposed to read before it, but I can't remember what the book was. I think it was in Captain Hastings' voice, but I can't remember what the book was. Because I read so many. But there are a few like that. Yeah. So you have to do a deep dive into Google and find out which books that have to be read like that. They have the same characters.
Yeah. Okay. In Curtain, they go back to the setting of Agatha Christie's first book.
Oh,
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
good to know.
Monique says the Enola Holmes mystery series has been on my TBR for years. Now I'm bumping it up on my urgent reads. Yes, you should. It is so great. I loved it. And I will let you know, in case you don't have a chance to read it in April, in May, for those of us who've been busy reading mysteries for March and not participating in Middle Grade March, we are bringing back Middle Grade May in May, and we've got some hosts lined up. Middle Grade May was actually around way before Middle Grade March, and it was created by Akasawa K, who is not really doing any booktube videos for the last few years. And a couple of us who used to help co-host Middle Grade May have been asked to bring it back. And so I checked with the cost if she minded if we'd go ahead and bring it back, and she said no, that was great. So there'll be announcements coming out sometime in April for Middle Grade May, and I think the theme is well, I don't need to give away too much, but anyway, we've already kind of been talking about a theme and all that. So long story short, if you want to pick this up for Middle Grade May, then you could do
I've
that.
read some middle grade memoirs this
Oh,
month. Yeah,
really?
yeah.
How?
Some of them were like Holocaust
Okay, like
memoirs,
Diary of Anne Frank and
told
stuff.
from a little child's point of view, and
Oh, wow.
most of them were happy because they survived, and that was
Wow.
interesting. And then there was a book, and I can't remember the house on something street. It's a Latina girl, a Mexican girl, and
I think, is that a Newbery winner? I've heard of that
yes,
one, but I don't think I've
yes,
ever read that one. Okay, great.
yeah,
Yeah, that's definitely on my TBR if it's a Newbery
yeah,
winner.
yeah. I'm still reading that. It's very good, and
Awesome.
I'm sorry I didn't have the whole name, but
Oh, it's okay.
I
It's
have
okay.
the book, The House on Something Street, and I know that, but I can't remember the street. And
Yes, I could
she
probably look it
moves
up.
from place to place, and it's lovely. Yeah,
Um, Let me see. Yeah, I know exactly what the one you're talking about, but I can't think of the name either. But it's a Newbery. So Felicia was laughing at me because I said Minecraft. Minecraft songs. It will forever now be thought of as Minecraft. So Elisa says she loves a little supernatural mixed into her mystery, like the haunted library. Yeah, I'm not big on supernatural, but the haunted yarn shop by Molly McRae is one of my favorites. And I just was thinking, oh, I would love to interview her, and I realized Molly McRae and I are Facebook friends. I should ask her sometime if she would come on my channel
Yes, do
and do
it.
an interview.
the
All right, let's
Mary
see.
Roberts Reinhardt has some supernatural
Okay.
aspects. Don't you think so, Kevin? What do
Yeah,
you think,
she
Kevvie?
had a couple, like, yeah, and The Wall had a lot of supernatural stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
Tiffany,
not
who did you
overdone.
interview? I was just looking here. Tiffany said she interviewed the author. It must be of the Haunted Library. And I missed who the author was of that. But Tiffany has interviewed a lot of authors. If you guys haven't subscribed to her channel, check her out and all of her author interviews. A lot of cozy mystery authors. Hello, Angela says, I found your channel by chance and love it and love this live chat. Well, thank you, Angela, for stopping by. We are wrapping up March Mystery Madness this week, and every Tuesday I've been doing a little chat with Booktube friends about mysteries and what we're reading and all of that. So I'm glad you joined us. Still fairly new with cozy mystery books and love learning. Thank you very much. Thank you. And let's see, love to try some middle grade. Yes, you should try some middle grade. They're fun. Okay, so yes, she says I'll plan on reading Enola Holmes in May. Elizabeth, oh, thanks, Tiffany. You're so sweet. Always involved usually creating something funny. Oh, yes. So thanks for that little plug. But between now and middle grade May, we also have Amish in April. I host that with Sarah, the Bookish Knitter. It's going to be the second half of April for about 12 days. So we'll have announcements coming out. I think they're scheduled to come out on the 5th of April. So save a little time in your April TBR for something Amish related, and it doesn't have to be Beverly Lewis, but she's my favorite Amish author. Sarah reads really gritty, like Linda Castillo. Have you guys ever read any of hers? They're
I haven't
really
read
gritty
anything.
crime novels set in Amish country.
Ooh,
And
sounds good.
yeah, I read the first one. I might read another one this year. It's definitely on the darker side, more gritty, and of course, there's several cozy mysteries that have to do with Amish, and then there's the Amish romances. I have a new friend who. I'm going to be interviewing again this year. Her name is Deborah Torres, and her debut novel came out last year, and it's probably labeled Amish romance, but it's really there's very little romance in it, and it was really unique as far as that goes, and I thought it was fantastic. And it still is like one of the highest rated books on my Goodreads. Almost everybody who's read it has given it 5 stars. So her second book is coming out in April, and I'm going to be interviewing her again.
Oh,
Her name is
cool.
Deborah Torres. So I definitely recommend her book as well. So Tiffany says, it's going to be so much fun. I'm uploading a Cozy Mystery Amish video Thursday. Yay, good deal. Felicia says, I have a book by Jolena Petersheim on my TBR called The Alliance. It's a post-apocalyptic book set in an Amish community. Okay, I gotta look that one up because I'm all about dystopian post-apocalyptic. Oh my goodness. How do you even find that? A book like that, Felicia? That's so cool. Felicia and I are supposedly buddy reading and leading a read along for Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett, but we've kind of I don't know, we've lost our momentum, we've lost our steam. But the first 2 weeks of April before we get into Amish books, I've got to dig back into that. It's so good. Have you guys ever read Ken Follett?
No, but that's my partner's favorite book, so
Yeah.
I have to read it at some point.
Yeah. Well, start it now and join us. We have a Voxer group where we're discussing it, but nobody's commented in a few weeks. I think we all got busy with Middle Grade March and March Mystery Madness and all of that, and sort
There's
of
a
put it
lot
to
going
the
on in
side.
March,
There
that's for
is.
sure.
I know, there's a lot. Julianne says she's going to read the first Linda Castillo, Sworn to Silence. Yep, that's the name of it. The first book, really good. And Amber says a middle grade book I would recommend is Every Soul a Star. It's not a mystery, but it's a wonderful book. All right. Thanks, Amber. I have that one on my shelf. I need to read that. In fact, I think Angie from Literary Labors had that on I'm pretty sure she had that book on one of her Booktube spin lists one time. And I said, hey, if that gets picked, I'll read that with you because I have it on my shelf. So, I was supposed to say Ginger. Monique says, Thursday the 31st is my birthday, hoping to spend it binge reading. Well, happy birthday.
Yay.
Awesome. I will be driving. I'm going to try to leave today, but by tomorrow at the latest, and drive to Texas with my daughter. So she says she doesn't remember how she found it. You're gonna finish in April. Okay. All right. Yes. I'm gonna bump it up too. And make sure I'm not gonna start any other print books than what I already have started right now. And I'm gonna set a page count to read every day and get it done. So good. We're on the same page with that. And let's get back in our Voxer chat too. So Julianne says happy birthday, and Tiffany says fun. Hope we get lots of reading done. Hey there, Lady Lovestead Reads is here. All of a sudden, I forgot your name. All of a sudden, and I'm so sorry. I know you. She said I've only read 2 Agatha Christie, but I'm enjoying this conversation. Wanted to pop in and say hi. I've been here, but been quiet because I'm multitasking. Thank you. So glad you are here. Jessica, that's it, right? Yes. Hi, Jessica. Thank you, Monique. I appreciate that. I'm planning to hit some bookstores along the way as I go. There's one in Tyler, Texas called Pea Picker Books. And I popped in there last year, but I didn't have time to spend very long. And they have so many romances. They have like probably every Harlequin romance that's ever existed. And a lot of used bookstores don't keep them, but they have a huge collection. And so I've been sitting here making a list of all those different series that I'm collecting and reading, making a list of what I don't have so that when I go in there, I can go straight for the ones that I want.
I have 4 children living in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
4 grandchildren.
Nice. What part of Texas?
New Braunfels. I've never been there.
I've heard of that. I don't know where
Yeah,
it is though.
right. It's in the hill country near San Antonio.
My
That's
dad
all.
is
Okay.
from
I
San
haven't been to
Antonio.
Texas, but I've seen my grandchildren. They visited. We kind of meet halfway to
Okay.
New York, or I've seen them. Yeah, but
Well,
yeah,
I'm
I'm
mainly
going
going
to
to the
travel too.
Panhandle. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I'm actually going to Paris with my daughter in May. So
Nice.
I plan to go to the Shakespeare.
Paris, Texas, right?
No, not Paris,
Oh, no,
Texas.
Paris,
Paris.
Texas. You were talking about Texas, so I was like, I've been to Paris, Texas. That's not far from where I grew up in Oklahoma.
I
In
only
Europe, you're
heard
going
of
to Paris.
Paris,
Yeah.
Texas a few years ago, but yeah, we're going to we're actually going to Provence and Paris, and my son works for an airline, so
Oh,
I get to
nice.
travel for free. So I
That's
said, if
fantastic.
not now, when, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah. So
fantastic.
there's a bookstore there that Hemingway and went to, and it's called Shakespeare and Company. It's not the same bookstore, but it's built right on the same grounds. And I think, Kevvie, you know about it. A woman was, she took in all the poor writers of the 20s, let them sleep there, let them borrow books. So it's a kind of a tourist attraction.
Wow.
So I plan, and it's
Neat.
a really good bookstore. I went there once, and yeah, I got some really good books there.
Well, are you going to film anything there? Will they let you film or do a vlog or
I
anything?
don't know. I'm gonna try. I'm not
Good.
very good at filming, so I hope my daughter's gonna help me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe she can film you and you can just be in it and,
that's a
give
good
us the
idea.
tour. Yeah. Oh, that would be so
Films
fun.
everything, especially food. Everything we eat, she has to film. It's like,
Yeah, let us see that. That sounds great. Well, since you mentioned bookstores that have to do with authors, the other place I plan to stop in Texas on the way to the reunion is south of Wichita Falls, and it's the bookstore that was owned by Larry McMurtry. And he
oh,
doesn't own it anymore. In fact, I think he's still living, but he's retired. I think he's very elderly now. But uh, I had wanted to stop there last year, but I was running behind and I didn't have time. So I called and just to see, what they had and everything. But this year I definitely want to stop there. So then where I'm going is a town called Childress, which is kind of like when you're um, when you're going like across Texas and then you start to angle up to go into the Panhandle, it's right in that curve, like before you start heading north,
Okay.
south of Amarillo and all that. That's where I'm going for my family reunion. And
is
then I'll cut on over once I'm done
was
there
he an
and go see my
author?
sister.
He
But
sounds
Larry
very
McMurtry,
familiar. Yeah,
what
he
about
was
him?
an author. Was he an
Yes,
author?
yes, he wrote Lonesome Dove.
Lonesome Dove. I was right on the tip of my tongue.
Yep,
I thought so. I
and
haven't read it,
also
but
Terms of Endearment.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
That was
I have not read Terms of Endearment, and I need to. I knew a man who was in that movie with
oh,
Shirley MacLaine. He played one of her love interests in Terms of Endearment. So he was a man from my hometown area. He was like a local celebrity and hosted like a little show that my mom and I were on in a couple times. So anyway, but yeah, I loved Lonesome Dove and that whole series. And I've read a couple other books by him. He was a bookseller as well as an author. Obviously, if he had a bookstore. And his memoir that's called Books, that was my cat making noise. Sorry. It was very, very good. It's about his relationship with books and all that. This is Harry. Hi, Harry. You
hi,
still there?
Harry.
He's a brat. um, so yeah, his memoir called Books, talks about his whole relationship with books, selling them and writing them and all of that, like in his life. I think he's got a couple of other memoirs, but the one that's called Books is excellent. I loved it, and it has made me want to go to that bookstore ever since.
There's
So
a
I'm excited
bookstore
to
in New
go.
York, the Mystery Bookstore that I
Yeah.
used to go to when I visited my mother in New York. And the owner, um, he was a crotchety man. And I heard he started a whole, um, he still has the mystery bookstore. It's not where it is. It's in another area of New York. But he started like a press, and I can't remember his name, but he has a whole uh, line of mystery books, and still has the mystery store. So I said, is that the same guy who gave me the recommendations that he did? And when you went in, my kids loved it because it was like Halloween. It was all like scary, but they didn't like the hours that I spent there when they were small. But yeah, there's a lot of people who, they get into starting bookstores because they love a certain genre of books.
Fun. Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, everyone's saying hi to Harry. I would tell you that he said hi back, but cats. They
Yeah.
don't. They don't. All right. So Felicia says that Shakespeare and Co. is a bucket list destination for me. Awesome. Awesome. Yes. That sounds fantastic. I would love to go there. Oh, Monique says brother, sister-in-law, and 2 nephews live in Texas, north of Dallas. Awesome. Yeah, I have a nephew that lives north of Dallas as well. I'm probably not gonna see him, but I am gonna, after I get done at the reunion, then I'm gonna go back through Oklahoma and visit a couple of other relatives that are not going to be at the reunion. The reunion I'm going to is my mom's family, and it's huge. It's very organized. Yeah, my mom had 10 brothers and sisters, and
Wow.
we actually have 2 reunions per year. This one started out just being my mom's brothers and sisters, like to celebrate my mama's birthday, because her birthday was the first weekend in April. They've got another one in the summer that I haven't been to in a long time, and it's not only my aunts and uncles, but all of their cousins. But some of their cousins come to this one too. It's just a huge family, and very organized. We have a scholarship fund. Every year we have a big auction, so people bring stuff and we auction it off, and there's trustees and all of that stuff. I mean, it's a big deal. It's a huge family, and um, they give scholarships every year for anybody in the family who's graduating. Can get part of the scholarship and all that stuff. So it's pretty cool. I have
I'm an
not.
only child, so
What's that?
no family. I'm an only child of my mother and father, so there's no family reunions for us. But I have 4 children, so I can make my own family reunion.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, and yeah, I mean, it's just some families do and some don't, and neither. It's not good or bad either way, but it can be fun. Of course, there's always a few people that are like, I'm not going to that, but then some people won't miss it. They go every year. And I have tried to go as often as possible, but this April one, when the kids were in school, was always hard to go to unless if spring break would fall just right, then you could go. But usually it would always be before. So now that the kids have graduated, Emily could go with me, but Katie has to work. So, doesn't really matter. Either way, she probably wouldn't want to go anyway, but I don't know. How'd I get off on family reunion? I don't know. I guess because I'm just like, okay, as soon as I get off of here, I've got to finish my laundry. I got to pack. I got to get everything situated. But anyway, let's get back on topic. And our hour is up. And I apologize that we started a little bit late. I was telling Kevvie and Marilyn when we were trying to get logged in that my computer was acting up. And so I first logged in with my phone, and then they were patient enough to wait for me to get the computer logged in so that we could actually get on here. Oh, Breezy Ann got here. Hi there. Hello. Good to see you. It's been a busy day, huh? Yes, I know. But it's great to see you. So, everybody, thank you in the comments for being here. And thank you so much to my fantastic guests, Kevvie and Marilyn. And I am so excited you guys could make time to be here. For those of y'all that don't know, if you got here late, Marilyn was gracious enough to get up at the crack of dawn because she's in Hawaii to be here with us. And Katie's my daughter. Kevvie hurried from work and got here to be here. So thank you both so much. It was a fantastic, fun discussion. Before we go, though, tell us what you have coming up on your channel. Anything else you want to say? And tell us what your favorite mystery that you've read this month is for March Mystery Madness. If you
You
have a
go,
favorite.
Kevvie.
Oh, me go? Okay.
Put
Coming
you
up
on the
on the
spot.
channel, coming up on my channel, I have some NetGalley reviews coming up, as well as my monthly wrap up. I want to do another one of these things where I try to solve an Agatha Christie.
Oh.
Yes. And then, oh, and I just finished writing my first short mystery.
Yeah, I heard that about
Yeah.
that.
So this month or next month, I'll be recording that and posting it.
So you're gonna read it to us in a video? Nice. Oh, that'll be fun.
Oh,
Very
Yeah.
cool.
I just filmed and uploaded my year and a half on Booktube, and some misconceptions about what people think about readers and reading in general, and what I learned from Booktube and from all the wonderful friends that I've met here. So I did that, and I wasn't able. I had an eye operation this month, so I wasn't able to really. I wanted to do a video, not like Janelle every day, but at least a few. So I have a lot of backlog of mysteries that I want to get to and talk about. So that's
Awesome.
what I plan.
Awesome.
And then in April, I'm going to read whatever I want. All the
Very
mysteries
good.
that I didn't get to because I couldn't see.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
So,
me, the first 2 weeks of April, I'm gonna just play catch up and try to read some of the stuff that I had planned to read in February and March and didn't get to. And then in the second half of April, of course, will be Amish books, Amish in April. I started a series about midway through the month, a video series where I was showing books that I like, cozy mystery series that I've collected, and I may do one more of those and then probably put the rest on hold for next year because I just don't think I have time to finish that series.
sure.
But and even my wrap up for the month is going to probably be pretty late because I'm going to try to leave today and the month is not over yet, and I've got to return my library books and all that stuff
This
before I go.
month
I'm
went
looking over
so
here at all my
fast.
stacks of books. My favorites for the month, though, besides Enola Holmes, which I loved, I did a read along of Murder in Old Bombay
Oh,
by Ned
yeah.
March. This is set in 1892 India, and it was fantastic. I loved
I
it.
heard about it on Janelle's channel,
It's
and
great.
I only get
Highly
to it.
recommend it. And I just finished it this morning. So
Yeah.
I thought that it would be harder to read because it's historical and it's, set in a place I'm not familiar with, but it was very readable. Now I started out doing audio and print, and eventually I let my audio expire and I didn't try to get it back. I just read it in print. And Storm from Storm Reads was saying the same thing, that she started it on audio and she's like, oh, hold on, I think I need to read this in print because there's some words that are difficult. There is a glossary in the back that explain what some of the words mean. And so that's helpful. There were a few words that I still didn't know what they meant that were not in the glossary, and I had to Google those. But it was fantastic. And there's going to be a second book, and I highly recommend it. It was great. So, Murder in Old Bombay is
I
one of my
plan to
top
read
books.
some comfort books next year, and reading. Oh, I can't remember the name. I'm sorry, my age is catching up with me. And it's early in the morning too. But I really enjoyed Endless Night. I really did. It's dark
Okay.
though. It's pretty dark, and I don't mean dark in a gritty way, but dark in a psychological way. And I just finished that last night, so I plan to do that. What
If
about you, Kevin? What are
Go
you
ahead.
planning? What was your favorite read this month?
So, regrettably, for mysteries, I've only been able to read our buddy read and then Janelle's group read.
Yeah.
I've just
That's okay.
been so swamped. But instead, I'll say my favorite mystery period
Okay.
is The Album by Mary Roberts Reinhardt.
The album?
Yeah.
Oh,
it takes place in the 1920s, and it's a cul-de-sac of 5 houses where their residents seem to be stuck in the 1890s. And yeah, like one of them, hasn't left her house in 20 years. Another one hasn't taken off her mourning attire in 20 years. Another one doesn't just lock her house door. She locks every single room in her house.
Oh,
There's like a married couple and they haven't spoken to each other for 20 years, even though they're married and live together. Like,
Wow.
it's so cool.
Wow.
I remember
Oh, yeah.
the name of the, it's Rosamund Pilcher. That's the name of the author, Rosamund Pilcher. And
Okay.
I haven't read anything of hers, but this will be the first one. Have you read Rosamund Pilcher?
I have not, but my friend back in junior high who was reading 10 Little Indians, I reconnected with her last year when I went on a visit to Oklahoma, and she was telling me that she reads Rosamund Pilcher is like one of her all-time favorite authors, and that's her comfort spot. That's who she goes to when she just wants to just kick back and chill out. Is Rosamund Pilcher. So I picked one up at a library sale. I haven't started it yet, but she highly recommended Rosamund Pilcher.
I found her on Gina Stanier's channel.
Okay.
And and she loves Rosamund Pilcher. So I got one, and I love the first line, and I said I got to read everything she wrote.
So you haven't yet, though, or you have?
No, I haven't.
You haven't read one yet.
I haven't yet.
But you're confident just based on that one line.
It's Summer Solstice, I think.
Okay.
That's the name of the book.
I can't remember which one I have, and it's not out where I can see it. So.
And it has some found family, and I love that. Found family is the best.
Great.
Especially for an only child, Yeah. Yes, I was, And
then come back from middle grade May, you might just encounter a prompt that has to do with that.
Okay.
Middle grade May, yeah.
Sounds great.
Awesome. All right, so Tiffany says, yes, do it, Elizabeth. But what did I say I was going to do? I don't know what I said. I don't know what I said. So I think somebody asked for your channel links, and I will put those. I can't add them until we're done, and then I can go back and add them to the description. And I, of course, absolutely will.
Say Kevvie and the baby boomer booktuber.
Marilyn, I am actually, even though I'm 57, I'm at the tail end of the baby boom. My birthday is November 1st, 1964. And I think the baby boom officially went to December 31st of 1964.
Oh, welcome.
So I got in like 2 months. Yeah, 2 months. So yes, my parents were, my dad was in World War II, and my mom was a clerk typist in Amarillo, Texas during the war. So they were very much part of that.
My mother was born in 1916.
What's that?
My mother was born in 1916.
1916. So. Okay. Well, and mine were born in the 20s. 24 and 26 were when mine were born. They're both passed away now, but
mine too. Yeah. Right too.
Yeah. I have an older brother and sister that are 10 and 12 years older than me, who are most definitely, baby boomers. They're closer to age than you, but I still count. I'm right. I got in right under the wire. So. Oh, Monique says she's turning 41 on Thursday. Congratulations and happy birthday! If I didn't say it already. And everyone's saying hi. Let's see. I'm going back here. One more cozy mystery book. Okay. So I will do. So Tiffany, I think I'll do the H one because I've got the H books already out, at least a couple of series, and then I will save the rest for next year because I just don't have time to do it. Right now. Okay. I promised you guys an hour and I've gone over by 15 minutes and I apologize. I hope you don't have anywhere you got to be, but if you do, my apologies. So thank you so much for joining me for this last terrific Tuesday with Friends Over Coffee. I probably will do a couple of terrific Tuesdays for the last Tuesdays of April, and that will be for Amish in April, but this is our last one for March Mystery Madness for this year. So thank you so much for helping to
love you, Kevvie.
Usher out the month. Thanks everybody.
Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you.
Thanks for being in the chat, and we'll see you guys later.
Aloha.
And as I always say, have a great day, read a good book, and